How did a teacher's pet get completely owned? Marcus Wilson was the biggest teacher's pet at our high school. This kid raised his hand for everything, corrected other students during class, and literally carried a briefcase instead of a backpack. He sat in the front row of every class and would turn around to shush people who were whispering. The worst part? Teachers loved him. They'd use him as an example of what a dedicated student looked like. "Why can't you be more like Marcus?" became the most annoying phrase at Lincoln High. Marcus had this thing where he'd volunteer to grade papers during lunch. He'd sit at the teacher's desk with this red pen, marking up everyone's work like he was some kind of professor. Kids would get their tests back covered in his handwriting with comments like sloppy work and needs improvement. He also ran the student council like a dictator. Every meeting was just Marcus reading rules and telling people what they couldn't do. No fundraisers without his approval. No dances without his permission. No fun without Marcus signing off on it first. But the thing that made everyone hate him most was how he'd snitch on people. If someone was 5 minutes late to class, Marcus would make sure the teacher knew. If kids were passing notes, Marcus would confiscate them and turn them in. He even reported students for having their phones out during lunch. Senior year, our English teacher assigned this massive research project worth 30% of our final grade. We had to write a 15-page paper on any historical figure we wanted. Most kids picked easy ones like George Washington or Abraham Lincoln. Marcus chose this obscure Civil War general nobody had ever heard of. He spent weeks in the library checking out every book they had about this guy. He'd walk around school carrying these thick history books like they were trophies. The night before the papers were due, Marcus was bragging about how his research was college-level work. He said most of us probably just copied stuff from Wikipedia, but he'd used primary sources and academic journals. He was so smug about it. Next morning, Marcus strutted into class with his paper in a fancy folder, perfectly formatted and stapled. He handed it to Mrs. Patterson with this satisfied smile like he'd already won first place. She said she'd grade them over the weekend and have them back Monday. That weekend, my friend Tyler was bored and decided to look up Marcus's general online just for fun. What he found made us all gather around his laptop. The first search result was this academic paper from a college professor. Word for word, it was exactly what Marcus had written. Every paragraph, every quote, every citation. He'd copied the entire thing without changing a single sentence. Tyler screenshot everything and sent it to our group chat. We couldn't believe Marcus was actually stupid enough to plagiarize something so obviously. Monday morning came, and Mrs. Patterson called Marcus to her desk during class. She was holding his paper and had this serious expression. "Marcus, can you explain your research process for this project?" she asked. Marcus started his usual show-off routine, talking about primary sources and how he'd spent countless hours analyzing historical documents. He was laying it on thick, acting like he was some kind of scholar. That's when Mrs. Patterson opened her laptop and pulled up the exact same academic paper Tyler had found. She placed it next to Marcus's work and asked the entire class to compare them. "Can anyone spot the difference between these two papers?" she asked. Dead silence as everyone realized what they were looking at. Marcus turned white as a sheet. Mrs. Patterson announced that Marcus would receive a 0 on the project and would be reported to the administration for academic dishonesty. Since the project was worth 30% of the grade, this meant Marcus would fail English and couldn't graduate with our class. The kid who'd spent 4 years acting like he was smarter than everyone else got busted for the dumbest mistake possible. He tried to argue that it was an accident, that he'd forgotten to cite his sources properly, but Mrs. Patterson wasn't buying it. Marcus ended up having to repeat senior year. All those years of being the perfect student, and he threw it away because he thought he was too smart to get caught doing something so basic. The best part? Tyler printed out screenshots of the plagiarized paper and left copies in Marcus's locker every day for a week with notes that said "needs improvement" in red pen, just like Marcus used to do to everyone else.